Thank you for joining us. Another session of our virtual SIGGRAPH. As you all know, we do not have a physical conference to go to this year, so we're bringing you some interesting conferences, and people, guests, who have really interesting solutions to the market and work that is pretty amazing. So today, we're going to talk about animation. We're going to talk about virtual production. We're also going to talk about Unreal Engine, and we're also going to talk about um, the combination of everything to create really immersive sort of experiences for the new way of letting audiences experience computer graphics and integration into live action. So today with us, we're very lucky. We have Laura Herzing, who is executive producer at Silver Spoon right here in New York. If you hear ambulances, you'll know we live from the city. And we also have my good friend Amy Giles from Silverdraft Supercomputing. And we're going to start off hopefully a really interesting conversation for our audience because the stuff that you've done is really groundbreaking, and we sort of really grateful to have been associated with it in a small part. So, Amy, I'll start with you. You and I have known each other for a long time, and you sort of a great partner at B&H, and we know that you guys make incredible products. But how did you go through, that evolution of the company to become such a prominent player in the supercomputing and virtual space for anything that relates to computer graphics and animation?
Well, it's interesting. My background actually is from M&E. So when I founded Silverdraft, my focus was on how we can free artists through technology and bring the level of supercomputing to aid in that. And our very first massive supercomputer that we built, we actually tested it for the first time running virtual production. We did it, parked outside in a parking lot of Wilshire in Los Angeles, and really pushed what could be possible when you could, push the VFX assets right on set and interact with the content live. And it's evolved over time from there, really looking at not just the compute that's needed, but how do we enable our clients to free them with that compute? What is the right compute based on the things that they want to do? And it's just been about working hand in hand with our clients and our partners to develop the right technology and the right compute for the things that they want to do, the right applications, the right tasks, and to help them achieve their goals. And that is our focus with our clients, hand in hand, to enable them.
Amy, you talk about enabling your clients to do groundbreaking work, and I think we have Laura here who's going to tell us exactly how they harness not only the supercomputing power of Silverdraft, but also other applications like Unreal Engine for sort of unorthodox ways of applying that kind of real-time environment to animation. But before we go to an interesting video we have, tell us a little bit about who Silver Spoon is. What kind of work do you do? Your facilities, your installations, your studios, and what kind of services you offer to your clients.
Sure. Silver Spoon is a leading provider of both virtual production and real-time animation. We're based here in Brooklyn. We have a 12,000 square foot virtual production motion capture studio where the heart of our technology team sits and works. We really got our start with roots in premium performance capture. So that's where we're grounded, with expertise in performance capture and in animation. And from there, over the last couple of years, we've been really growing into the area of virtual production. So producing content in real time is something that we as a company have been focused on for a few years now. With the advent of the COVID pandemic, it's really presented different ways for us to use this technology, both in LED wall virtual production and then also in real-time animation crowd simulation, which is something that I know we're going to talk a lot more about today.
Yeah, so to start, I think that there's an interesting piece that you've given us, and we're gonna play it now. I'm gonna let it play, and then we'll talk about it. And it's an interesting way of approaching animation in real time, just like you said. And it's I think it aired recently or last year. What was the time frame of where this thing was actually on the air?
So this was actually this was a real-time activation that we did for the Super Bowl this year in 2020. So planters had killed off their mascot, Mr. Peanut, and brought him back to life through a broadcast commercial that aired during the Super Bowl. So after that commercial aired, then we had a real-time live stream animation on Twitter for about 4.5 hours on Super Bowl night to introduce the world to Baby Nut. So people on Twitter could ask him questions or request that he do things, and it was a truly like interactive real-time experience because all of the animation was being created right in our studio in real time, streaming live to Twitter.
Fantastic. So let's play that piece so people know what we're talking about. It's pretty remarkable.
Right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Here we go.
We did a live stream of Baby Peanut because Mr. Peanut died and he came back in the Super Bowl as a baby.
There's a little bit of that trepidation of how is this going to go? Is it all going to work smoothly? But the team here is so amazing. They really prepared for all of those contingencies. Everything just really fell into place, and once we got rolling, it was pretty remarkable to see what we were able to do tonight.
One of our challenges was that Baby Nut is about half the size of a normal human. What that really meant was that the room that we had to create in our physical space had to be twice the size of the actual room. When our talent had to get up onto a chair, she had to get up onto stairs that were twice the size of the chair in the virtual space. We had mats set up and we had other things. We rehearsed it a bunch of times.
Ready, camera 7? Take camera 7. We're doing something that's completely new and pretty groundbreaking with technology that a lot of people haven't used for stuff like this.
So we combined our years of experience working in professional high-end motion capture with the capabilities of Unreal Engine.
Unreal allowed us a new depth of realism that was fantastic for the client and for our personal level of quality. We could hit 120 frames a second where everything in the room was extremely high quality, huge textures, and a moving Baby Peanut.
So there was a football he could kick and some blocks he could knock over. He could go hang out in his chair.
Fell asleep, he played with a book.
We got so much positive feedback from the Twitter audience.
People asking for specific dance moves.
I think everybody who was tuning in was having just as much fun watching it as we were here doing it live.
A lot of people said he was straight vibing, which we thought was really funny.
It was a lot like live theater that way, getting direct feedback from an audience, which you almost never get. It was great to be able to react in real time.
There's still almost 4,000 people watching it right now. Even though he's just sleeping.
So really, really cool indeed. Laura, one question. How did the concept come about, to be born, and when did you decide that you were going to use such innovative techniques, to bring it to life?
The concept for Baby Nut kind of evolved in the fall of 2019. So the turnaround time on this particular project was rather fast. But our using Unreal to do real-time animation is something that we've been doing for a few years now. So our clients knew that we had this capability. We've done it for a couple of other brands and other mascots to help them bring their animated character to a truly live and interactive format. So our use of Unreal and our use of this technology is something that we've been developing and that we've been working on for a while now. But it was just kind of finding the right use case for it. So working with the agency VaynerMedia, who is handling the Planners account, they, I think, really nailed it with the concept of having this live, interactive live stream.
So moving on from pure animation to the convergence of animation and live action. Amy, how did you get involved with this incredible project that's pretty much everywhere in the trade magazines about MLB and Fox to actually add virtual crowds into empty stadiums? That's pretty remarkable. So tell us how this project was born on your end and your involvement with putting everything together from working with Unreal, to working with us, for supplying some of the components for your computer systems, and how it was born as something that really is turning heads.
Absolutely. Well, we were already working with Silver Spoon and worked with them on the virtual production stage in Brooklyn. And so, as they came to us to talk about the things that they were wanting to do and wanting to do with Fox and looking at the workflow from a compute standpoint that would be needed to help and support them, it was a great fit and solution for our compute with the goals that they were wanting to create. And Silver Spoon has just been absolutely fantastic to work with. We love working with clients and partners that really want to push the envelope on what is possible, and not have the hindrance of compute, but have compute help drive what they want to accomplish. And Michelle, you guys were fantastic. The timeline, as Laura will attest to, was extremely tight and very, very short. So we had to move quickly, and you guys really stepped up as partners of Silverdraft to make sure we had some of the components necessary to support Fox Sports and Silver Spoon in making this happen.
Well, the world of production, right? Everything's got to be ready by yesterday, right? So we know, we live it every day as well. But before we go and dive a little deeper into the techniques and how the project was born on your side, Laura, let's look at the video. I think it's absolutely remarkable.
Scored. The man who's now had 4 hits and 5 at-bats off Samaja, including a home run. 2-0 delivery. That one lifted up in the air, left center field, back warning track, way back wall, and goodbye home run. He's got 2 off Samaja. What a day for Manny Machado. 3 for 3 in 3 at-bats, and he will cross the plate.
Absolutely fascinating. Laura, my first question to you is, what pushed the envelope on this? Was it a request from MLB, an idea from the guys at Fox Sports, your sort of intuition into making a new set of virtual environments, for immersive audience experience? How did it go about? Because it's really like, it's not like someone says, hey, you know what, and here's an empty stadium, let's put 50,000 people there, can you do that?
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, it's got to be real time, and oh, by the way, it's got to look real, and oh, by the way, millions of people are going to look at it. So how did it happen?
Honestly, I think it was just the convergence of a lot of like-minded people in the right place at the right time. When the pandemic hit, we kind of jokingly said at Silver Spoon, like, what if we do virtual crowds for sports? And then 6 weeks later, it's happening. So just the speed with which this pandemic has accelerated the use of technology has been amazing to see. It's really, I think, pushed the envelope in ways that we couldn't have seen, even a few months ago. But the idea itself really We had the idea. We were connected through some of our mutual vendor partners to several networks and had a lot of conversations. And Fox was the one that really was willing to dive in with us and see if we could make it happen. So it was really just the right people connecting at the right time.
So in that experience, would you say the creative pushed, the technology, or was it the creative was reacting to the technology, or was it a perfect merging of the two disciplines?
The ask really pushed a novel use of the technology. I think this was an application of technology that we had maybe considered hypothetically before this, but we hadn't actually put it into practice. So knowing that we think we can do this in an abstract way is very different from put all the pieces together in a matter of weeks and make it happen. So I think the ask that Fox came to us with, or that we decided on, was really something that we wanted to be able to do. We wanted to be able to achieve, not only to see if we could, but to give that like sense of normalcy back to something that so many people love and were missing. So it's amazing the way that it did all come together, because there's so many different pieces of the puzzle that have to work.
So one piece of the puzzle, of course, is Amy's contribution.
Yeah.
Amy, when you heard about the idea of putting virtual crowds in real time, into baseball stadiums, did you say, "Oh my God, how are we going to do this?" Or did you have the utmost confidence that this was absolutely the perfect project for you, and you were going to step up to the plate, and it would just happen magically, almost magically?
The utmost confidence. We have done, different live streaming with regards to, the piece with Madonna that was done, and a few other things. And so, I really looked at Silver Spoon and was like, brilliant, especially considering where things were at with COVID, and what a wonderful way to take this technology and utilize it in a different way. So no, we had absolute confidence that not only was the compute able to handle what they were wanting to do, but that we could work with them to help fulfill the needs to make that happen. It's been interesting how with virtual production, the urgency around it, or the shift with it, has really, there's a greater urgency, because we can utilize these tools to get some sort of normalcy back, or get back into production, or interact with content in a different way. And so I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I was thrilled to work with Silver Spoon and help enable them, and was just extremely proud about how they were pushing the envelope of the technology to drive what was possible. But on the actual compute side, it was about making sure that we could get everything built in the time frame that they needed, and have everything working seamlessly. And that was a great collaboration between, the two of us, to really gain understanding and ask the right questions to make sure we understood everything that they wanted to do, and had everything kind of configured ahead of time to make it easier for them once they were on set. Because you know how it is. You want to try to find all the holes that are going to be there, because a lot of new things will show up when you're actually on location. So it was a great convergence of the technology and the artistry together.
I was just going to say, I completely agree with Amy. I think that the only reason that this has worked is because we've had such great relationships with these partners that predated this ask. Silverdraft has been working with us for a while. Pixotope, Unreal Engine, obviously our whole system is built on Unreal. So having those existing relationships just makes it easier to mobilize when it's time to really hit the ground with something, and have that confidence that you're going to get exactly what you need. none of this works if the computing power isn't there. So I know we made a great choice by working with Silverdraft on that aspect of it, and it's just nice to have that not be a worry.
The innovation, that you guys constantly deal with, make sure that you come to the realization of whether a project is feasible or not. I think that's remarkable. But I think what's remarkable too is the fact that as a company, Silver Spoon has really sort of been very much at the forefront of using Unreal Engine for new applications. And whether people have woken up to the world of LED walls, in virtual production or final visual effects, that it's called now. So there's, elimination of green screen in certain circumstances. And yesterday we had our friends at NCAM, talking about camera tracking, and that's a big component. But I think people woke up to virtual production when they realized how The Mandalorian was done. And I think that all of a sudden it seemed like it's a new trend, but it's not a new trend for you, Laura, because you've done a project with Unreal as the core of your infrastructure. And the birth of that LED wall was really sort of a culmination of all the things you've been doing, and it just happens to be another facet of what you do, not something entirely responding, to the trend of the moment. Correct?
Yeah, absolutely. The principles of virtual production are something that Silver Spoon has been working on and working with for years. Our company mission has always been to push the boundaries of what we can make in real time. So virtual production really combines so many different aspects of what we do and so many different aspects of a traditional production pipeline, all in getting all these people in the same conversation at the same time versus a more traditional fragmented pipeline. So yeah, the LED volume that we've built over this last year is really a culmination of putting together a lot of the tools that we've already been working in for years.
So I think the best way to actually illustrate, what you guys are doing is to show a little video that you guys have made that's pretty remarkable. It's entirely realistic. It seems like you've shot outdoor scenes on location, and I think the level of integration, camera motion, the quality of the rendering, real-time rendering is exceptional. So if we can play that video, I think it'll give people a good idea of what we're talking about. So, Laura, what kind of projects, are you seeing, in your studio, and where do you see the future of virtual productions for Silver Spoon, and in general, what do you see that take its greater course? Is it for feature film? Is it for commercial advertising? Is it for reducing costs because of the ability of doing anything virtual remotely and limit the sort of the production costs? Where do you see that technology going in the future?
It's a great question. It's hard to answer because it's such a new field. It's something that really I feel like the industry is still kind of in the R&D phase with. We've seen huge interest from a whole spectrum of industries, from advertising to TV to feature films, even performing arts. I think that the possibilities are very wide right now, and I think it's really up to those content creators to see what they can do. The technology exists, and we are constantly refining and learning and improving our process. But how it ultimately gets used, I think is still an open-ended question. I can't tell you that I know exactly where it's going to go. I can tell you that I think that it could be, especially now in the COVID era, I think it could be applicable for industries that wouldn't have even thought of it or wouldn't have a need for it before this pandemic and the way that the production is being handled now.
Well, I think, it goes back to some of the things Amy was saying. Is that, you're enabling the content creation world, to come up with new solutions because the technology that you provide is there to do that. Do you see that as a role of yours, to sort of be so in tune with the creative community that your technology is always, I would say, maybe a half a step ahead to make sure that anything that comes up that's a new brilliant idea can actually be executed, in the quality and the time frame that it needs to be done in?
Absolutely. On the compute technology side, it is about really sitting and working with the creatives and the artists. And when I say that, it goes across, all enterprise, but understanding what it is that they're wanting to accomplish so that you can make sure that you're pushing the technology so that as they create and want to do, more and more things, that the technology is able to support them in doing that and staying ahead of it, staying on the bleeding edge of that to support them so that there is no question, is it going to work? It's more about what do they want to do? And then we can make sure that the technology enables them to do so. And it's a wonderful, exciting challenge. And, we love that part of what we do because it's syncing those two things together.
So it's still a talent-driven world, right? So we can have as much technology as we want, but if we don't have people like Silver Spoon and Laura's company to come up with new ways of immersing the audience into experiences, I think we can do any of it. So I just want to, in conclusion, I just want to say a couple of things. I would invite everyone to go and visit Silver Spoon's webpage. I think your work is remarkable. We're very proud to have you in New York City. Brooklyn is New York City as well, not just Manhattan. And we've learned to work together in the past. I think we'll continue that in the future. Amy, I want to thank you for giving us the time. I know you have an incredibly busy schedule because the SMLB Fox is still an ongoing project, as we all know. And, it's taking a lot of our time. But in any case, I just want to say for those of you who are really interested in asking further questions and understand a little bit better what the technology is about and how it works, we should have on our website in the coming days, we'll have a Zoom session that will be scheduled, I think, with Laura and Amy to actually answer the questions live if you have any interest into learning more about technology. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for making the time. There'll be more sessions, so visit our website, bhphoto.com, and also go to SIGGRAPH.org has a virtual platform where we'll also have an exhibitor space. So thank you for making the time. Stay safe, everyone, and hopefully we'll see each other in person very, very soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Michelle, thanks, Laura.
Thank you, Amy. Bye.